Could run for the White House again, and we want to ask tonight, is she fit to be the leader of the free world, considering her record as Secretary of State? Well, Charles Krauthammer certainly doesn't think so.
Oh, gee.
Name me one thing, just one, not three. Give me one thing she achieved in the 4 years as Secretary of State. I have yet to hear an answer. I do think it's really awful that you can have a 4-year term, achieve nothing, and as you say, go backwards with Russia, backwards on Iran, backwards on Syria, backwards on Venezuela, backwards in relation with just about all of our allies. I mean, this is a foreign policy of failure.
All right, some strong opinions about that, but a new Gallup survey shows 59% of Americans still view her favorably a year after she stepped down as Secretary of State. Now, keep in mind, Eric, this is in the aftermath even of Benghazi, of the aftermath of the famous thought that went around the world. What difference does it make?
Very popular. She's a very popular former Secretary of State, former senator. What can you say? Look, I would love to see what she's going to run on going forward. Is it going to be, we're going to fix Obamacare? It'd be very interesting. But whoever it is on the right is going to have a formidable opponent on the left. And I disagree with Bob. I don't think anyone's dumb enough to run against her on the left.
Okay, Dana, now what about Charles, the comments that he makes that under her watchful eye or not so watchful, the U.S. has taken steps back with Iran, with Syria, with Venezuela? Is those a fair criticism?
It's an aggressive point of view, but it's not one that shouldn't be asked. Interesting thing, I went back and had the brain room look. Only 6 presidents in our history have ever gone from Secretary of State to the presidency. Now, she's different in that I think that the more important part of her experience is her Senate run, and how she came to New York, and she really had to, I think, had to earn the trust of the people here. And she had high ratings out of the Senate to go into Secretary of State. She left almost with it was almost like the coronation had begun as she leaves the State Department. But she has not had to say anything about any policy, about any sort of Obama record, or what she would do in the future as well. So when that starts to happen, I think that 59% number will tick down, and then you'll have a race on your hands. But I don't think until then her Secretary of State experience is going to matter that much in the election.
Okay, so
there's not much to talk about. I think Krauthammer has a point there.
Pivotal decision point. Greg, you're making a strange face.
No, well, you know, it's interesting is that what the country needs right now is an inspirational leader to right this ship because we are screwed. Hillary can't do that without smearing Obama for his carelessness.
Right.
There might be somebody in the Democratic Party who will do that. I don't know about the Republicans, but there is an ideological crisis going on right now. Our country is run by a group of people who see the past as one-sided. And in that one-sided view, it's America who is wrong. Our current Secretary of State, not Hillary, was talking about climate change while the world was exploding. He's the worst secretary since Waylon Smithers. His priorities are that of a Greenpeace activist strung out on arugula. The biggest blunder, though, is not Hillary. It's not Hillary. It's not Hillary. It's 2008. That was when the country chose Obama over McCain. That decision is so stark because it rejected a warrior over a camp counselor. We convinced ourselves that we needed to fix problems within our country, that it would be better to be liked than feared. Therefore, this is the fallout. McCain could have handled Putin, could have handled him with one, and that's, I almost made a terrible comment. But instead of choosing a warrior, we chose somebody else, and now we're paying for it.
I agree with you, and Bob doesn't.
I think I don't agree with much of anything, and particularly with what Krauthammer said. I wonder whether Charles thinks that Hillary should have been able to do something about the Ukraine, that it wasn't Putin's fault, or Venezuela. And he was on the show with Hugh Hewitt, who happens to be a nice guy, but a right-wing nut. And he said she lost Eastern Europe, she lost the Middle East, she lost Asia. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. What she has done is strengthen NATO in a big way. She got the relationship with India, which is the most important ally we have in that region. It was terrible relationships prior to her getting in there, and now it's very good. Now, you may think this is a big deal, but because it's a Chinese got screwed on this, fortunately, is that she opened up relations with Burma.